Oh, that's nice. Boys, I've just received an Instagram message from Matty with the Footy. I love that name. And it says, just want to say that the podcast is great and you have great knowledge of football. I'm most thankful to Matty with a Footy. It was about time that someone appreciated my...
No. He's not talking about you, mate.
Podcast in general.
He's not talking about you.
Oh, no, he is. He's messaged me directly. I know you two chodes don't think so, but at least some people...
Who's this? Your mate from home?
No, mate, it's Matty with a Footy.
Oh, what's going on here?
Shout out to Matty with a Footy.
I can hear applause. Why can I hear applause?
Yeah, I don't know.
Because someone, it's a sign for clapping my superb...
Is that your parents outside their room clapping you?
Hello and welcome to FC Podcast, your weekly dose of football culture. Thank you for tuning in to talk football with us today. If this is your first time listening to this podcast, hit follow or subscribe so that you never miss an episode. My name is Simon Scott. You can catch me outside this podcast at Simon Scott on Twitter and Instagram. And as always, I'm joined on the bench by the best assistants in the game. On my left on the Zoom call, I have got Captain Fantastic Carlsberg, Jack Hoban, and Hansi Fickle on my right, Mr. James Hepworth. It is currently Tuesday, the 19th of January 2021, and though everything here in the UK has come to a stop, the football world keeps on rolling. Coming up over this week's episode, we discuss the drab top of the table battle between United and Liverpool. While it is anything but in the Serie A, Messi saw the first red card of his Barcelona career. If only it was that easy for him to get sent off into the sunset, maybe in the summer. We discuss the Super Coppa final, and we have our usual fun and games in Clown of the Week, as well as our Hall of Fame. Now, we once again give our love to the FC Podcast Ultras. Thank you guys for voting in our polls on Twitter. You can participate in those at FC Podcast Boys. You can also keep in touch with us on our Instagrams at FC Podcast 2 or Boys. Can't remember.
No, it's the other way around, mate.
No, it's all right. Anyway.
Yes. FC Podcast 2 is Twitter. FC Podcast Boys is Instagram.
Oh, well. A special mention to you guys listening to us in Pakistan, Australia and Cyprus, who have begun to listen to us now every single week. If you want a cheeky shout out on this podcast, then tell us where you're listening from. And while you're at it, give us a 5-star review because it helps us grow and it makes everything easier for us and easy for you guys to find us all and all that jazz. Now I've done the housekeeping, let's find out what the boys have been up to and whether they've coped indoors this week. Jack, how the devil are you, sir? Have you culled your ultimate team again since we last spoke?
Yeah, I've made a few changes. I'm in a good mood. Chelsea got a good win in the derby at the weekend. A little bit nervous for tonight.
That's the game against Leicester City. I have to ask, Jack, just before I introduce James, is Fulham versus Chelsea the most underwhelming, most unanticipated derby ever?
Yeah. I mean, it's a London derby, really. Spurs and QPR are bigger games for us, that's for sure. The last big one I remember is when I think it was around 06, 07 time, and the fans of Fulham got onto the pitch and Gallas almost fought one of them.
Really? I don't remember that.
Yeah, it was like 2006 time.
Well, that's another one for the history books that you've just pulled out of the ether. James, another cracking week of fixtures in Europe, but are you a little bit happier this week than you were last week?
Mate, it's a bit of a yes and no situation. I'll go and explain it in more detail later, but you know what it is. I've got my Jimmy's Iced Coffee, original coffee and milk drink to keep me a little happier. Otherwise, yeah, I think we'll go on and chat a little bit more about the bare minimum. I'm not too... What?
The Ribena was too much last week. He couldn't handle it.
God, I can't do anything right. I can't drink my wine in peace. I can't drink my iced coffee in peace. I mean, really, the next thing I'm going to order a pizza and it'll be wrong. What can I do?
Pineapple one.
We'll tune in next week and he'll be sat there with a crack pipe.
That's a good idea, actually.
But that's it. I've resorted to the lowest of the low. Well, if Bayern throw a result, not that they did this week, unfortunately, but if Bayern do throw a result away each week, I'm looking forward to seeing how intoxicated we can get James on this podcast just so we can cope. I loved editing last week's podcast. There was so much that I couldn't put in, but what did make it in, I thought, was an absolute cracker. And if you've not listened to that episode, go back and listen to it, because why the hell not? Right, gents, should we get on with what happened in the world of football this week? Should we get straight into it?
Let's do it.
Go on, then.
Right. Let me paint you a picture, gentlemen. This is a situation that I have experienced many, many times in my life.
Erectile dysfunction.
Liverpool playing Manchester United. What, sorry?
Erectile dysfunction.
Oh, don't even get me started. I'm looking for a sponsor on the podcast. That would be quite a helpful one. Anyway, sensation that I'm used to, not erectile dysfunction. Liverpool Liverpool not being the favourites in the Manchester. Stop it! I'm trying to be serious here. But we're not even going to the main story, James. For God's sake! Right, Liverpool were toothless against Man United. That is a sensation that I have felt before, where I'm always worried that United are going to nick a goal, leave Anfield 1-0. I had the record at home to worry about. We've not lost at home in nearly 4 years in the league. That in itself is mental. On top of that, we can't hit a cow's arse with a banjo if we tried. But luckily, we've got a world-class goalkeeper that can dig us out. I have been sick this week of the United loving on media. Everyone's talking about, United are back, United are this, United are that. I thought Jamie Carragher doesn't speak sense very often if you can translate him on Sky. I don't know if you can get subtitles on Sky. But he was going on about Liverpool's injuries and the midfield playing at centre-back, all of these things, I can go on. But what I want to know is your two's opinions. Jack, you had quite a different perspective on this game. You were almost enjoying it as a bit of a tactical battle.
Yeah, everyone said it was a boring shit game. I quite enjoyed it.
You only won, mate.
I thought it was quite a fascinating game, to be honest.
And why is that?
I thought United set up really well, especially the way they defended. I thought United got into the game a lot more in the second half, but with about 20 minutes, 15 minutes to go, it seemed like both teams were quite happy to take the point. For United, going to Anfield and not losing, especially in a title race, is a big result. For Liverpool, protecting their home record, especially when they've got their two key midfielders playing centre-back. I also thought the way United defended was good. You looked at whenever Mane or Salah got the ball out wide, United would double team them. They'd double up on the in the wide areas, and it forced Liverpool to have to move centrally with their attacks, and it ended up just becoming a bit of a wall. And every time Mane or Salah had the ball, they had to deal with at least 2 or 3 defenders, including the midfielders tracking back as well, just hounding them down. And they did struggle. Mane and Salah really did struggle for space.
What did you think of Thiago's performances, James, as a Bayern Munich fan and somebody that absolutely loves Mr. Alcantara? I have seen flashes of him where he's brilliant. I'm not of the rhetoric of a lot of Liverpool fans that he's the best player I've ever seen, he's the best passer of the ball I've ever seen, because I'm not incompetent. I'm not, gonna go down that narrative. What a player he is, though. I thought he did well in the game, but there's just something missing for Liverpool.
Yeah. He's a tremendous player. I think this was his first home game at Liverpool, I believe, in all competitions as well. So He was injured at the start of the season. Then he had coronavirus. He's settling to a new league, a new country, settling to a completely different game in comparison to La Liga and the Bundesliga. But some of the passes he's made, his intelligence on the ball, his ability to map out passes, I think it was absolutely great. I don't think we'll see the very best of him for a few more games yet, but once he becomes settled, he will completely change the dynamic of Liverpool's team. The only thing I do say, and it was very similar for when he was at Bayern, you won't find him playing many games at once. He seems to have a few games, then he'll have a few games out, then he will make a few games. It's almost as if you need to reserve him. He can't last throughout the whole season. He goes through these stages of not playing for a few weeks, and he's in, then he does well, then he's out again. You need to get the most out of him. I think his fitness is an issue. And I also think his ability to get a little bit of traction, a little bit of speed. But once he gets settled, I think he'll be absolutely phenomenal. For me, he's one of the very best midfielders of his quality, of his type, like Verratti. I think those are my favourite two in that position. And yeah, I think he's phenomenal player.
So Liverpool's teeth have fallen out. They've not scored a goal in 3 consecutive games for the first time since 2005. Just hold that in there because I felt a little bit sick. What is your opinions of Liverpool at the moment, guys, before we get on to Manchester United's performance, which Jack touched on briefly? I don't know what our best midfield is now. And I look at our strikers and you look at Jota. He's going to replace Firmino when he's in full fitness because the ticking machine of our strike force is Firmino, and it's just disappeared. He's not a striker; he's a midfielder playing out of position. Jack, what's your opinion on the midfield mess of Liverpool? Because that's where I think a lot of it's going tits up.
Yeah, they're struggling in midfield, but the main reason they're struggling is because of injuries. Your two key midfielders are having to play centre back, Firmino and Henderson. You went into that Man United game with a completely unbalanced midfield. You look at it, it was a 3-man midfield of Thiago, Wijnaldum, and then Shaqiri playing the number 10 role. Well, Thiago and Wijnaldum's not a great double pivot because it's you're looking at a deep line playmaker and then a box to box. There's no strength in that 2-man midfield. United had to win the midfield battle. Looking at on paper, they had a better midfield. As simple as that. Because your two key midfielders are having to play centre back right now. You've taken out the complete balance and structure of your team. And it's not just the midfield that's affected because of it, it's the whole team. So you're worse off defensively. Your midfield's completely suffered because the key component of your midfield has been taken out. And because of that, also your attack is suffering as well. Because it means your attacking players aren't getting the ball fast enough, aren't pressing at the same time as like they used to with Henderson and Fabinho there. It just the way Liverpool plays is it can play different ways in the sense that they can play like a tiki-taka style of football. I mean, tiki-taka is not really the right word. It's just a general term. Or they can play the long ball, which they do quite a lot. Like when you look at Liverpool before, a lot of the times your attack started with Van Dijk. He would spray the ball out wide to Salah or Mane, and that long ball would be able to get those two players out as wide as they can, and then Firmino would open up the space for them to cut inside. You've lost all that now, and it's all started with the injuries to your defence. This was always going to happen. It's quite remarkable that it's taken this long for it to happen, considering Van Dijk, his injury was in late October, early November, and you just managed to keep on winning.
Feels like an absolute lifetime ago now. An absolute lifetime ago now. We'll move on to Manchester United next, but I just wanted to ask, what do you think is Liverpool's best midfield?
Fabinho as the holding, Henderson, and then Thiago or Gini Wijnaldum. And next season, it's looking like it'll just be Thiago.
I would probably have to agree with you on that one, Jack, just because on quality alone, Thiago has to get into the team because of just his ability to break things down. What about you, James?
I would agree as well. I think you've got to put Thiago in there. And I've always been a big fan of Wijnaldum, but it seems that, in his head that he wants his move to Barcelona and he hasn't signed a new deal. So he'll most likely be off.
It's not a bad move for that is it? Newcastle, Liverpool, Barcelona. It's a very nice career path, hasn't it, that he's built for himself. Right, let's move on to the new media darlings of the Premier League, Manchester United, because everybody's talking about him. If you ask me, I'm going to take my bias cap off and just put it on over there. The only reason that they're up there is because City and Liverpool are having a down year. And now City aren't having a down year. City are hitting form. So for me, give a couple of weeks, United will falter again and they'll disappear. Do you agree with that, or have you got your own opinions on this United side?
I think City are going to bypass both Liverpool and Manchester United. I think what's going to happen with the top 10 in the Premier League, it's going to be like a yo-yo. It's going to be up and down for everyone, from Arsenal to Leicester. You're looking at Southampton. I think West Ham are currently in the top 10. I might be wrong. They might have gone out. But yes, Chelsea, Man United and Liverpool will be no different. It will just be up and down. Everton as well. But I think the only consistent going forward now will be Man City. Because they've gone through that patch now where they didn't have a striker. They've managed to improve defensively. Laporte isn't even in the starting 11 at the moment. Ruben Diaz has been a fantastic signing so far, just looking at his current form. And Stones is making massive strides at the moment. He's in form, which is... If you'd looked about 6 months ago to a year ago, we wouldn't have said that. We wouldn't have seen that coming, that's for sure.
Well, he was rumoured to be moving to Arsenal, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was rumoured to go on loan to teams like Arsenal and Newcastle.
I think he would have. I think looking at his current form, I think Newcastle could have really have done with him. Just going back to the United game, the one thing that I will say is, even though Pogba was played out on the right-hand side of him, he was almost like a right midfielder, wasn't he? He wasn't necessarily a centre midfielder. I thought he had a great game. Other than like his usual antics of just slowing play down. But when he was playing out on that right-hand position, it did give Liverpool a bit of jip. But it was a bit of a... I know it was a tactical battle, but for me, it really was a nothing game. It's just... I don't really look forward to United-Liverpool anymore, because either we're in great form and we batter them, or it's just a drab game.
It was a high-pressured, tense game. Neither team could afford to lose.
But out of it, I think we'll have quite a good selection of Team of the Week players. I definitely think Alisson will get one for his double save that he made. I genuinely thought we were going down there, but once again, the holy goalie comes to strike and save us. Looking through my notes here, a title race is most definitely on in the Premier League now. We've got Chelsea versus Leicester tonight, which is a big game in the landscape of things. How are you feeling about that fixture, Jack?
Not good, mate. Not good at all.
And why is that?
Because we're playing like shit at the moment.
Any more analysis you want to give in there other than you just playing shit? Well, I could have told you that.
How much does Roman have to pay for Werner to get another goal?
Oof, it looks like it might be quite a bit.
It's no problem.
Bullet dodged.
Fuck off.
Bullet dodged. Some players just don't adapt to the Premier League. They just don't.
Ain't no way am I writing him off. No chance. It's like the people already criticising Havertz. He's like 21 years old. Werner's only 24. Give it time.
I forget he's like... For some reason, I always think he's like 26, 27. I don't know why. Is it... what's his name? Ziyech. Is he... He's a little bit older,
yeah,
isn't
he's like 27.
That'll be why I've got their two ages mixed up. I thought City played really well. I think John Stones will probably get a Team of the Week as well this week.
Yeah, he's not a hat-trick.
Yeah, 2 goals. I was reading a stat or something, and they're like the 15 games that he's been back into the starting lineup, they haven't lost yet. I think it's like 14 wins and a draw across all competitions, and him and Diaz.
And then they're not conceding many either. That's the main thing.
They're not conceding goals again now, which is difficult. I mean, like, they're not scoring bucket loads, I mean, this weekend aside. But I think once... In the summer, I don't know whether Jesus will be the number 1 striker, but if Aguero, which he is touted to leave...
I think they're going to get a striker.
And they do bring in a really top... If they get a really, really top-class striker in, it will be worrying. Do you have anything else to say on the landscape in the Premier League before we move on to Serie A, gents?
No.
James, are you still there, mate?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I'm just listening. You know, I've always been bullied about my lack of footballing knowledge, so I'm learning from 2 great footballing insights.
Here we go.
Is he just taking notes here?
No, the toys on now. I can't even speak.
He hasn't got
the iced coffee has gone straight to my head. No, I'm just listening. I'm taking it all in.
Oh, well, that'll be a first.
Yeah. Seen the pictures of Torres, what he's looking like right now. Fucking henge.
Is he big?
He's out here looking like a fucking personal trainer.
The surprising new look of Fernando Torres. Just going down
Jesus
here.
Christ, he's humongous.
Hey! Fucking hell!
Jesus Christ. He looks like he's about to go on like some type of American commercial or something.
Bloody hell, he's massive.
He looks like your personal trainer down the local gym that says, if you pay for 5, I'll give you an extra session for free.
Yeah,
why
exactly.
Why didn't he look like that in the last 4 or 5 years of his career? He might have been able to fucking run.
No, I think that would have limited his pace even more.
Oh, look, if Torres went from being a pace demon to whacking Fenway, I think he would have still bossed it. Still would have scored more goals for Chelsea.
Don't wink at me, you can.
I didn't wink. That's just me blink. That's just how I blink.
He wouldn't have scored more goals looking like that. He would have been able to fucking run.
Hey, do you know what, mate? Tweet that photo. Twitter is undefeated. Undefeated. I feel sorry for them meme lads. You know them 4 lads that are just like stood having a night out. I mean, the trousers are far too tight, but you've got to giggle, haven't you? You've got to giggle. Right, where were we? Oh, that's right. We were talking about the Serie A, which is Inter beating Juve, Milan beating Calabria to stay at the top. I know that, James, that you might be able to involve yourself in this conversation a little bit more because you've got a bit of knowledge on the Serie A. Which game would you like to talk about first? Inter beating Juve or AC Milan's resurgence at the top of Serie A? I'll let you two pick.
It's got to be Inter.
Go on then. Why Inter first?
Because for the first time in over 5 to 6 years, they've beaten Juventus in the Derby Italia in the league.
I didn't realise that this was a massive derby. I just thought Inter versus Juve was a big game. I didn't realise that it had like an official name and was like a big old event.
A massive game. Conte's done something here that hasn't been done since maybe even Mourinho at Inter. And to beat Juventus is a massive statement. And to do it, it was quite convincing as well. Like, Handanovic had to pull off a really good save from a Chiesa strike, like a really good reflex. But apart from that, Inter had the best chances and they should have scored more than 2. Lautaro had 2 really good chances. Lukaku had a great chance.
Some of the build-up play from Lukaku.
Lukaku was on fire. He absolutely dominated Chiellini.
That little touch that he
dominated.
You'll know the moment, guys. That bit where Lukaku took the ball, he almost like let it roll across his body. And then as the left-sided centre-back came in, he almost like slid and just moved the ball out to Martinez on the right.
And then still kept the ball,
Phenomenal. Like, where was that player at Old Trafford? Like, that's the player that that's the Lukaku that the Premier League knows. Like, where
it's all about the right circumstances, the right team built around you, and the right manager giving you confidence.
Well, that as well, yeah. Well, Conte always wanted Lukaku, eh?
Yeah, I said from the minute he was linked with Inter Milan as Conte's main signing, I said if he goes there, he's going to do really well because Conte will build the team around him, and he has. And he's playing at a world-class level right now.
What do you think of Inter, James?
Well, looking at the table, it's just refreshing to see both Milan and Inter at the top. I can't remember the last time we saw both of the Milan clubs at the top of the league. For the last about 8 or 9 years, they've always been, at 5th or 6th, have gone down as low as 10th, 11th, 12th. So it's refreshing for a change to see the Milan clubs right at the top. And it's just, it's nice. But as far as Inter are concerned, I think we're all thinking when they got knocked out the Champions League, an absolute shit show of a season for them in the Champions League. We were thinking, but where's this all coming from? But I think in some ways their exit from the Champions League kind of kicked them up again, really put them into perspective, and they're now really pushing on. And if you look at it,
one game since.
Yeah, Milan on 43, Inter on 40. Quite a big gap between Napoli. We'll talk about Napoli and their 6-0 win in a bit, but it's refreshing and it's nice to see. And it's interesting to see now Juve down at 5th on 33 points and 10 points off top spot now. And I think Juve, they've won the league for the last
10 years,
10 seasons or 11 seasons or something ridiculous like that.
It's 9, I think. Their first league title win to start this all was 2011-2012. When they went on
Inter won the treble, didn't they, in 2010? So that was...
And then Milan won it in 2011.
That's it.
And Juve have won it ever since, and led by Antonio Conte.
The only reason they've won it is just because how bad the Milan clubs have been. They've had no competition.
Other than Napoli that one time.
Napoli pushed them a few years ago. I remember they had that massive game where Napoli beat them. And
and then they straight up bottled it. Napoli are the only team to get above 90 points in Serie A and not win the Scudetto.
That was 2 years ago? 2 or 3 years
Yeah,
ago.
Okay, that way.
18
Wasn't
season.
it Sarri's
That's
last
when
season?
Koulibaly scored, didn't he? Koulibaly scored against
1-0.
Juve.
And it was massive.
I remember.
And then there was like April time, mid-April, and everyone thought, like, this is where Napoli are going to go on now. They're going to win the league. This is massive. Sarri was the manager, and then they fucking bottled it. They lost 3-0 to Fiorentina in one of the games. The turning point was when Juve played Inter Milan at the Derby Italia, and Inter Milan were up by like a goal with like less than 10 minutes to go, and then Higuain scored 2 late goals for them to win. And then Napoli had to play like the following day, and I think it was the Fiorentina game when they lost 3-0.
Breaking hearts in the old Higuain, other than breaking scales.
Well, speaking of Fiorentina, they Napoli beat Fiorentina 6-0, an absolute monstrous performance.
How good was Lorenzo Insigne?
Absolutely unbelievable.
I love Lorenzo Insigne. I remember when I went the Napoli game I went to see live, the only Napoli game I've seen live. He scored 2 goals within 2 minutes of each other, and I remember we were celebrating the first goal, and then he scored again. Like, one of my favourite players, and I love how through and through he is Napoli. He will never leave Napoli.
Naples born and bred.
Through and through.
And he refused to wear the same number as Maradona. Before Maradona had even passed away, he refused to wear it out of respect.
Oh.
And he's got more goals this season already than he had last season, which is a telling stat of how he's playing right now.
He's playing well for Italy as well.
He's a player that you've actually beaten me to it. I was going to put him. I would like to talk to him a little bit, talk about him a little bit more, and put some respect on that man's name, news, which we've got coming up in a little bit.
I want to talk about a player from Italy as well.
Yeah, see, there's a couple of players in there that I want us to talk about. We've mentioned them by name briefly here. This, other than the Premier League, I think is the most exciting title race in Europe.
Can I just say, this isn't for the put some respect on the man's name feature, but we need to give a shout out desperately for Barella for the Inter Milan Juve game.
Sensational game.
He got an assist for the Vidal goal, brilliant ball in, and then the goal he scored, I don't know how he had so much space against Kylian and Bonucci. Basically, he was in a battle with Ramsey all game, and Ramsey never got close to him because Ramsey pushed so high up the pitch that Barella ended up just getting continuous amounts of space, and it paid dividends. And he gets a goal and assist, and then later that night he has to leg it to the hospital, and he has a baby. Wow! So congratulations to Barella.
No,
what a shift!
What an absolute G! Fair play to him, and our congratulations in being a father as well. Now that we've looked at 2 of the most exciting battles at the top, we would talk about La Liga, but there's another game that I want to talk about regarding the Supercopa, which was Barcelona's performance, leading 2-1 up in the 89th minute, eventually losing in extra time 3-2. Messi getting sent off. And can we just give a very polite golf clap to Inaki Williams for scoring an absolute screamer in that game?
Oh, just what a goal. What a goal.
Bilbao boy, born and bred. Sensational.
Well, obviously, Bilbao only used Basque players.
Oh, yeah, that as well. It's like every time one of them scores, it goes, he's one of our own. He's one of our own. No, go on.
It was a brilliant win. They get a 90th minute equaliser pretty much to take it to extra time. And then Inaki Williams produces just a moment of magic. And Messi completely lost his fucking rag, didn't he?
He twatted somebody, basically, didn't he?
Yeah. The player clearly wound him up. And then player runs in front of it, but Messi basically smacks him twice, one with the left, one with the right, knocks him to the floor.
Don't mind if I fight back, will you?
I watched that scene on the train home last night.
Oh, really?
What a film. Legend.
What a lad. No, what I was just about to say to James is for somebody who hates a league monopoly, you don't like Juve winning the league, you don't like United winning the league, you don't like Barca and Real winning the league. More than happy for your own team to win, but come on, you must like this decline of Barca as a Bayern fan. Just having a little wander over into the Catalonias, just having a good whinge.
Yeah, it's just going from bad to worse. I mean, they had a great attacking lineup out. Griezmann scored 2. They had Dembele out. They had Messi out. They had a good attacking lineup, but Ronald Koeman, he's just an atrocious manager. And I think there's just, Messi wants to clearly leave. There's so many fractions within the club. they just need to sell so many players and just sort themselves out. You know, it just seems like, it's going from bad to worse, really. What else can you say?
Just quickly on Bilbao, I think this is like their third trophy since like the mid-'80s, I think it is. And every time it's been they've won a trophy, it's been against Barcelona.
Because didn't Adjuri score a big goal against them not too long ago to win something? Or am I talking out my ass?
Yeah, they won like I think it's the Super Copa as well. I can't remember. Let me double check.
All right, while he's scrolling, James.
It was a couple of years ago, and I think it might have been Aduriz as well.
That FIFA legend. Looking back on those games, guys, just because I'm having a look at a rejig of the schedule, is there anybody out of these lot that you think, out of all the games that we've talked about, that will probably get into Team of the Week this week? Because I'm looking at my lists. Barella looks to be in there. Insigne looks to be getting an 87 upgrade. I didn't realise this. When did Luis Alberto of ex-Liverpool fame suddenly turn into a baller?
About 2 years ago. He's been absolutely brilliant for Lazio. Lazio have done this thing of bringing in players that have been kind of misfits, almost in some sense, or unknowns, or even players that have struggled a little bit, and they have built together a team on the cheap. And Simeone Inzaghi has done an absolute brilliant job. Someone, in fact, that replaced Marcelo Bielsa, who just decided to get up and leave at the start of the season with Lazio. And Simeone Inzaghi was the youth coach, and they decided to give the job to him. And since then, they have got into Europe. They're now in the last 16 of the Champions League, and Immobile has just been arguably the best number 9 in Italian football for the past couple of years.
Oh, look at James nearly jump out his seat then. You nearly said European football. He was like, whoa, you what, son? But no, he's soon.
He was about to turn this into a Bayern Munich.
He was, well, that's just about to come up in a sec.
No, as long as he knows his place, it's fine.
No, one player that I was going to look at as well is Barella, that we were talking about earlier. He now looks like he's going to be creeping into that. He's not far off from being in the 80 club, 81 pace, 71 shooting lets him down, 83 passing, 85 dribbling. There's a lot of great Italian players that are starting to emerge now, especially in times for the Euros. I know that somebody here predicted that the Italians would win the Euros, didn't they? Wasn't that you, James?
I think it was, yeah. And I'll if the Euros does happen, which I think at the moment, I would love Italy to win the Euros.
No, that would be great, wouldn't it?
For me, they're the dark horse. They've been incredible under Mancini. They didn't lose a single game of qualification. In fact, they won every single game of qualification with Mancini. And they've got some key experienced players and a lot of young players coming through now as well. And Mancini's doing a great job. So they are definitely a team to look out for in the Euros.
Although the only thing I would say with Italy is they always seem to win a tournament when they've got a big scandal going on in the country.
Yeah, they need another match-fixing scandal to pop up in the next couple of months.
And then we'll all be golden. Well, now that we've talked about Italy, we've had a little wander over into Spain, we've talked about the Premier League, it's only fair that we find out about the bare minimum. Go on, James, the floor is yours. Get your notebook out. Tell us about the Bundesliga this week. What have we missed?
Yeah, well, I'll start with a few games across the board, which favoured Bayern. So Dortmund being shit as usual. Well, they're not shit as usual, but very inconsistent as usual. Drawing with Mainz. Wolfsburg were really good value for money, drawing with Leipzig. So we were kind of helped out a little bit because our game was on the Sunday. And playing Freiburg, played really well against Freiburg at home. Not so well when we go to Freiburg. But it was just one of those games. It kind of reminded me of when we used to play under Kovac and under Ancelotti. We were having the better chances. Lewandowski put us 1-0 ahead, becoming typical, really. And then out of nothing, really, our just defensive woes, they got back into it. And then we were lucky in some ways to go 2-1 up. And then literally right at the death, we should have equalised. They should have equalised again. And it's just, we seem to be playing this awfully high line at the moment where you have Alaba pushing up so high and he just can't run back in time. And Boateng pushing up again. And, it just seems to just catch us. We're just playing too much of a high line and we just get caught. And we seem to find, like, as we played under Kovac, teams, all you need to do when we play high up is just pick out a pass, run, and beat Neuer. That's all it is to score against us. And, we're not playing well at the moment. We can maybe talk a bit in detail about our DFB Pokal exit. The first time we've exited the last 16 of the DFB Pokal in 20 years to Team Kiel in the second German division, following on from Magdeburg in 2000. In some ways, that's good. We've got one less competition to worry about because clearly, we are starting to fray, and the replacements we've signed with Bruno Sarr, with Choupo-Moting, with Douglas Costa, they are not good enough to replace our main squad. And so many of our players are calling out for a break at the moment. So, but, we were talking about Lazio a few minutes ago. Man, I think they're going to beat us. I have a funny feeling they're going to knock us out of the Champions League as well. Because if you look, the way we're currently playing at the moment against Lazio, I am not confident we're going to beat Lazio. The way we defend, the way we're so blasé and laissez-faire about running back, Alaba. Alaba is faster chasing his money than he is chasing back to defend. So him against Immobile, Alaba against Immobile now. Formula, mate. Oh no, I can already see it in lights what's going to happen.
And Lazio just won the Rome derby 3-0.
Yeah, I honestly, when the draw was made, I was like, yeah, we'll beat Lazio, easy. But now I'm like,
that's the issue.
Nah, I think.
I don't think so.
Well, we don't have anyone to come on. Who's going to come on? And
you got Douglas Costa.
He's shit. He's awful.
That's a good sign.
We want to cut his loan short. He's not good enough. He's just
Simon. Wasn't he saying it was a good signing on this podcast? Because I had to remind him, he used to think he was shit previously when he was at Bayern.
I said I agreed in saying that it's a good transfer considering we couldn't bring in the players we wanted. However,
no comment.
Bruno Sarr,
Choupo-Moting strikes again,
and Douglas Costa, they are not good enough. The only good player we've got to come on is Chiquintica Morsala. But he's a 17-year-old boy. You can't chuck him into big games like that.
Look. What happened to Choupo-Moting, mate?
Choupo-Moting. Well, he's only launched on for the last couple of minutes, and he doesn't know what to do. He's just running around with his arms up there trying to do something.
What about Goatman?
Goatman, yeah, man. Goatman played really well. He played really well against Freiburg, but
so you don't rate Douglas Costa now?
No, I don't rate Douglas Costa. He's been atrocious. He's been awful. Mate, I can play better than Douglas Costa at the moment. Stick me on.
Got more back and forths than a day out at Wimbledon, hasn't he?
Mate, at the moment, I'm a little bit peeved, to be fair, because Flick.
How can you be peeved? You're 4 points clear.
Well, Flick wanted.
You're going to win the league. You're sleepwalking to a league title, pal.
Well, not really. I would say more walking as after you've drunken 2 bottles of wine to the title.
Right. So this is the thing. What would you prefer, right? Would you prefer to win the league by a couple of points, or are you masochistic? Do you want to win by 30 points? Nobody can catch you. Everybody's shit. What is it you want, mate? What do you want, mate? What do you want?
I would rather win the league by a couple of points, and I would rather have a respectable Champions League run.
I know where he wants.
I don't think we are going to go past Lazio. I think they are going to beat us. I have this feeling, but then you've got to say that if Lazio knock us out the Champions League, it's been an embarrassing season, and where's the blame going to lie? We can't blame it on Flick, can we?
I know what James wants. He wants Bayern to dominate and win the league, and then every team around them to bend over and give them all their best players like they have done the past couple of years.
The only player I would like to take is Hippopotamus.
The only issue is some of these players at Bayern Munich are starting to jump ship now as well.
Alaba's going. No one else is going. Only Alaba's the only one who's leaving at the moment. Who's
Thiago's already gone.
Yeah, but that was last season, mate. Come on, mate. Get in the groove.
Before we move on to the other teams, because I've actually made notes in the Bundesliga this week. I've watched quite a few games.
No, not being the only one here that's done that.
Hey, thank you very much. So I'd like to just talk about Alaba, if we can.
Shut up, mate. Let Simon speak.
Let me speak. How rude. Alaba's contract situation.
Oh, look, Simon, mate, just kick him out the call and we'll just talk about the Bundesliga.
You'd love that, wouldn't you, Mr. Ribena?
Right. Third time's the charm. Third time's the charm, everybody. I need a sheep hook. Just took him off. Anyway, Alaba, contract situation at Real Madrid. Apparently, yesterday it was all done and dusted. And lo and behold, apparently it's not a done deal. Looking for more money, assessing his options. I thought the man wanted to go to Real Madrid. And now suddenly he's been linked with City, United. Apparently Liverpool have put a bid in for him because they've offered him the chance to play as a midfielder.
I think
he wants that green.
You've got to look at him and think that he's won his 2 Champions League titles now. He's built a legacy at Bayern. He's built his brand.
Austria's only good player.
His main passion is fashion. He wants to, I think he owns his own fashion brand and he wants to grow that. I think he's just looking for as much money as possible and to play for one of the big clubs. However, with Alaba, he can't play as a centre-back. If you play him as a centre-back, what's going to happen? He's going to push forward because he wants to attack and he's too slow to run back. So
doesn't he play there right now for Bayern? Sorry? Doesn't he play centre-back right now for Bayern?
Yeah, and he's just not very good at it.
Is he going to stay playing centre-back for Bayern?
Well, this is an irritating thing for me. We've got Lucas Hernandez. For some reason, Flick always wants to play Alaba every single game. And it's always like, if I had £1 for every time, mate, honestly, I'd be able to buy for once. But yeah, Alaba's leaving in a few months. Why are we starting him every single game? When we've got Hernandez, we've paid 80 million for him. He's got 3 years left of his 80 million.
Say for the people at the back.
80 million, fam.
Say for the people at the back.
Could you say that again, please?
Do you want me to say it in German, Italian, or Dutch?
Did they pay for it in with? Did somebody at Bayern win the Euro Millions? Is that why they forked that £80 million on a player that they can't even put in the starting lineup?
We paid 80 million. We're obsessed with getting Hernandez. And
this is the thing, right? Oh, sorry, James. I am going to interrupt you here. Unless your team buys out Bayern only buy in the Bundesliga because they go, we've played them, we know he's a good player. Are they completely incompetent? Because anybody that you bring outside of the league doesn't really seem to do very well. Tolisso, 40 odd million.
Has he really done out?
I wouldn't.
Stop backing him up, Jack. This is the one time he meant to be on my side.
I apologise. With Tolisso, he was a great player before he got injured. Tolisso is still one of my favourite players because he can score an absolute worldie. And
so can I on fucking Acne Marshes, mate.
He is a very good player, but he's been ruined by his knee injury he sustained a few years ago. Martinez, great servant. Ian Robin.
I feel like you're deflecting from the fact that you paid 80 mil for Hernandez.
Not even the best Hernandez brother at this rate.
Yeah, Theo's doing a lot better, pal. Should he be starting for France over his brother?
And he should be playing left back as well.
Hernandez, no, because we got Goatfees as left back.
Who? Has he been playing?
Yeah, he's been playing. He was injured for a month. Well, 6 weeks.
Oh, no, he's been playing while they've been conceding every game.
What, Goatfees?
Alphonso Davies has been playing while you've been conceding every game, yeah.
It's not Davis's fault, though. It's Alaba's fault and whoever partners him, Boateng or Sula. That's where the main issue is. And Pavard as well. I wouldn't bring Davis into it. Davis has been pretty good defensively, actually.
That's a good point. How much was Hernandez again?
How much was Hernandez?
Yeah.
Mate, do you have a short-term memory loss?
No. I just wondered. I didn't hear you before.
Like this is the thing is like Jack's one of those people that like on a night out, if you try and have an argument with him, he'll just get more drunker and just keep shouting the same questions at you until you break and then he's won.
Look, mate.
You're not getting wound up as well, are you, Simon?
Look, mate. Do we really? Should we talk about how much you paid on Havertz then? Should we go down that road, mate? Yeah, mate. Should we go down that road? Well, did he start?
Oh, look, I've got some more notes here.
Did he start on the weekend, Havertz? How much you pay for him again?
That's it. I think that's good that you've brought Havertz into this because before we started the podcast, you were so certain he was signing for Bayern. The arrogance out here.
No, mate. You're twisting my words, mate.
He won't go to Chelsea. Why would he go to Chelsea?
We're talking about fam. We were talking about how much did you pay for Havertz?
First it was Havertz. Why would he go to Chelsea? Hudson and Doy. Why would he not want to leave Chelsea?
Yeah.
It just goes on, doesn't it?
Next it'll be the centre-back from Leipzig.
I can't wait until he is unveiled as a Liverpool player in the summer.
I just can't wait until he's unveiled as a player, not playing for Bayern Munich. Because then we'll be here. Mate, I didn't rate him anyway. He's useless.
You'll be getting Vidal back on loan before you know it.
We've got this in recording. Upamecano. I cannot wait for him to create a treble at the back with Hernandez, Upamecano and Goatfees.
Wait, Hernandez and Davies are leaving?
No. I said we're going to have 3 at the back, fam. Pavard.
You're going to play Davies as a centre-back?
Guys, there's so much more Bundesliga we can talk about here. There's so much more.
Left-backs in the world at centre-back.
No, we're going to have the 3 at the back and then we're going to put... I'm not even going to talk about
Who's the third centre-back? Hernandez, Upamecano and...
No, we'll have 3 at the back. So we'll have Davis, Upamecano and Hernandez.
So you're going to play Davies as centre-back?
No, we're playing 3 at the back, so it's going to be broad.
So who's the third centre-back?
We're not going to have a third centre-back. We play 3 at the back.
He's going to have 2 centre-backs and a left-back.
So he's going to play
lopsided, that one, pal.
Oh, goodness me.
If it's a 3 at the back with Davies is playing centre-back.
We're going to have it's in German, it's called the Dreierkette. So we're going to have 3 at the back.
In English, we call you just chatting shit.
No, it's not chatting shit. It's chatting sense. When you come and see a Bayern game, bruv, you're going to see how well this tactical decision
If it's 3 at the back, it's 3 defenders at the back, 3 centre-backs at the back.
So you're going to have Goatfees, who's going to be that centre-back, left-back hybrid.
So he's going to be playing centre-back / left-back, so still centre-back.
Hybrid, right-back hybrid. And then you're going to have Upamecano in the middle.
So
James, just like when you tell your mum... Just like when you tell your mum you've got a real job, I'll believe it when I see it. Can we move on to all the other Bundesliga sections,
Okay, so
please?
the other Bundesliga section, Carlsberg.
By the way, Hernandez was 80 mil. Just want to throw that out there.
Nah, fam. So the other game of course, which took the headlines was Eintracht Frankfurt, the Schalke. So Eintracht won 3-1, and I think the main talking point is the return of Luka Jovic. So signed on loan last week, thrown into the mixer, came on in 62 minutes at 1-1, scored, and then he scored the third goal as well. So he scored 2 goals in 28 minutes compared to Real Madrid, where he scored 2 goals in 32 games. So
his first one was an awesome volley as well.
In fairness to Jovic, though, his average average minutes per game was like something like along the lines of he'd only average half an hour or less per game in terms of minutes. He was getting very limited chances at Madrid.
Terrible window that for them, wasn't it?
Oh, Hazard's not been it. Militao's been linked with loan moves now. The only signing that's worked out from that 2019 window has been for Mendy.
Well, to be fair, though, they got a 2-for-1 on Hazard because he's like doubled in size now.
And we've managed to get even more money than the original fee.
Well, there you go. Typical Chelsea. Before we move on to put some respect on that man's name news, and then we'll finish off with Clown of the Week and the Hall of Fame. Oztunali scored an absolute screamer against Dortmund. I don't know if you've seen it.
No, I didn't see it, to be fair.
That makes a fucking
How can you report on a Dortmund game?
I just saw
10 minutes ago and then go, oh, sorry, bruv, I didn't see it.
I don't care for Dortmund. I just saw the score.
Ladies and gentlemen, the German expert. Did you see the Dortmund game?
No.
Let me tell you what
You go to a pizza restaurant, you don't order every
What's pizza got to do with you knowing fuck all about the Bundesliga?
You're talking metaphors. Deal me in facts, son. Deal me in facts.
Mate, that's
talking shit.
No. You don't go to Domino's Pizza like, yeah, I'll have every pizza, please, mate. You choose the pizza you want.
So
I know, but you've literally just gone, right, here's my menu. There's no pepperoni because I couldn't read it. There's no margarita because we've got no cheese. But what I do have is a meat feast, but we've only got the vegan option, I'm afraid. You've basically just gone, we've got nothing. I've got nothing to bring you.
You know, I will.
You've just summed up the Bundesliga perfectly there, Simon. Basically, Bundesliga, there's fuck all there. Let's move on.
No,
So
apparently
rude.
it was a good goal. I'm going to bring it up. What's the name of this player?
You're meant to know.
I don't know. I don't care. I don't care who plays from fucking Mainz, do I? Why should I care? Why should I care who plays for Mainz, fam?
You're meant to be a Bundesliga fan. This guy always bangs on about how
Bundesliga fan.
You always bang on about how the Bundesliga is like one of the best leagues in the world. It's better than the Italian league. It's better than the Spanish league. You know,
And why is that, James? Well, I don't know. I haven't fucking watched it.
I never said it was better than the Spanish league.
How can you say it's better than the Italian league when you know fuck all about the Bundesliga?
Okay, to be fair, the Italian
You just watch one team.
The Italian league has been better. No, I've been banging on about Frankfurt, banging on about Schalke, I've been banging on about Leipzig, banging on about Bayern, mate. You can't.
And you've been banging on about Dortmund even though you didn't watch the game.
Mate, all I knew.
To be fair, mate,
I don't care
while
about
you've been
Dortmund.
going on,
mate, it's like you dump an ex-girlfriend. You don't care about your ex-girlfriend, do you? You care about the girl you're currently with, fam.
So you were a Dortmund fan and you ditched them to become a Bayern Munich.
No, that was a wrong metaphor. Okay.
are you trying to say that because Lewandowski moved,
You
technically...
moved with him.
No, I've never been a Dortmund fan.
In fairness, he did say football didn't exist before 2014 on this podcast, which would mean football didn't exist when Bayern won a treble in 2013. And Lewandowski did move to Bayern in 2014.
Anyway, shall we move on to put some respect on that man's name news?
I think so, before I get very angry. Put some respect on that man's name.
There you are. Welcome to Put Some Respect on That Man's Name News. I'm your anchor, Simon Scott, and we've got some players that need some names to be put respect on,
Put
and
some
that their news.
respect on that man's name.
Yes, thank you, James. Who's your selection for Put Some Respect on That Man's Name News
James
this
is
week?
going for a Dortmund player.
Sorry, I thought you wanted me to shout, put some respect on that man's name.
No, it's all right, mate. I've edited it. I've got you doing it in German. I've got you doing it in English.
Oh, okay. Fair enough. Okay, sorry.
You wouldn't remember this because you were drunk last time.
So, to be fair, I'm going to be a really nice guy about it, and I'm going
He's
to
going
go
for a Dortmund player.
No, I said I'm going to let you go for it, Carlsberg.
All right. Okay.
I'm being nice.
Well, thank you.
Not that you're nice to me.
There's some hidden agenda here. I don't believe this shit. Right, I'm going for Zlatan.
Big man like Zlat.
He's played. He's been out injured. He's missed quite a few games. He came back the other week. He's now back and he's firing on all cylinders, just like Milan have. They've coped without his injury. They've coped with his injury, and he's back and they're firing again. And it's remarkable. He's played 8 games, league games, and in those games he's got 12 goals. He's 39 years old, for fuck's sake. He's got 12 goals in 8 games.
Aging like a fine wine.
Oh, yeah.
Did someone say wine?
Oh, fuck off. Look, the top of the league, and a big reason for that is him, his influence on the pitch and off the pitch.
And also, they got Mario Mandzukic coming in through the door as well. So another aged striker. What a good lad.
A big game player.
He's a very big
Mandzukic in a nutshell.
Love
And they could be getting Tomori from Chelsea as well, it looks like.
When he left Bayern for Atletico, I was heartbroken. What a player.
He's been on tour, isn't he? He's been on tour of all sorts of places. What a great career Mandzukic has had. Thanks for putting Zlatan in. Put some respect on that man's name news. Another story tonight. Lorenzo Insigne is an absolute baller. I was going to put him in as my put some respect on that man's name news, but we've already done it a little bit further on. We could have put Jovic, but we've already talked about him. We could have also put Ostenali for his screamer against Dortmund. James, you should...
Who's that?
You should Google it, James. You should have a look. And all the time that we were doing the bare minimum, people could have sat on YouTube and actually watched the games and learnt more. That's quite an understatement there, isn't it? John Stones is another name I could have put some respect on this week. Let me look at the potential team of the week.
You do know you only meant to put one name down.
I could put as many. I'm the fucking house with the mouse, mate. I can put what I want. What else we got?
Oh, I see. Bending the rules, are we now?
Oh, that's nice. Boys, I've just received an Instagram message from Matty with the Footy. I love that name. And it says, just want to say that the podcast is great and you have great knowledge of football. I'm most thankful to Matty with a Footy. It was about time that someone appreciated my...
No.
He's not talking about you, mate.
Podcast in general.
He's not talking about you.
No, he is. He's messaged me directly. I know you two chodes don't think so, but at least some people...
Who's this? Your mate from home?
No, mate, it's Matty with a Footy.
Oh, what's going on here?
Shout out to Matty with a Footy.
I can hear applause. Why can I hear applause?
Yeah, I don't know.
Because someone, it's a sign for clapping my superb...
Is that your parents outside there?
No, I want to know where that came from. There's more. Where is it coming from? Is it you, James?
No. It's a sign.
Is it me? Oh, where's it coming?
It's got to be.
Where's it coming from? Genuinely, because I'm looking on my recording and I'm like, where's my fucking thing coming from? You wrong'un. You've been playing sound effects, haven't you? So
honestly, that wasn't me, bro.
I found out where it is. So in my editing window, I've got all the sound effects for the Hall of Fame loaded up. We've just caught up with it. And I was just like, what the fuck is going? It's like, yeah. I just thought it was really well.
That was perfect timing.
Really well timed, wasn't it? It's really funny. No, I've kept it in. Jack, I found out what it was. I've accidentally leaned on some and pressed up some of my sound effects. But
as you say, like, it's a sign for my great footballing knowledge.
That's right, you know what that music means, ladies and gentlemen. It is time to enter the big top of infamy. It is time for Clown of the Week on FCP right here on the podcasting world. Now tell us, Jack, who have you got as your suggestion to be this week's Clown of the Week?
It's got to be one man, Leo Messi.
Messi. Why is that? Is it because he gives somebody the old left-right power in the kisser?
He gave on the old Swift one bang.
It was a cracking strike, though, to be fair. The lads, he sold it like HBK against Hulk Hogan. He proper went down, didn't he?
It was like one of those. It looked like Messi was about to grab him and throw him out the ring like Royal Rumble style.
Beautiful. Very Royal Rumbles in a couple of weeks, boys.
I know, mate.
Very good suggestion for Clown of the Week. Like, he was straight up there with my suggestion. It had to be him.
It's the last minute of the game as well.
Banned for the next 2 games in the league.
It should be free, isn't it? It's straight red. But they're asking it. There's reports they could be a lot more because of the violent conduct. There's talks of like a 12-game ban.
Aggie little twat. Greatest player of all time, but also an Aggie little twat. James, who's in your suggestion for this week's Clown of the Week?
Oh, mine's an absolute whopper. So I've got Breel Mbolo. And the funny thing is, well, it's not really funny. He basically broke coronavirus protocols. And apparently he was alleged to have been at a party in Essen. But then he was asked by a reporter, and he turned around and said that, no, he was at a friend's house. And these are his quotes. "I wasn't part of a party, that is wrong," Mbolo said, following it up with, "I shouldn't have been there, it was a mistake."
It was at this moment Mbolo knew he got fucked up.
Oh, bless him.
But I just love it how it's like, "I wasn't part of the party, that is wrong. I shouldn't have been there. It was a mistake."
So he just went, "Oh, wait, I've just lied. I shouldn't do that. I'll tell the truth." What an absolute
That's
tip.
why that quote is just a clown.
Guardiola's currently getting ready to defend him in his next press conference.
Brilliant Bolo, he doesn't play for me, but I want to defend him.
He cheers us on when we play.
Oh, what an absolute tip.
Everyone judge themselves before they judge Mbolo.
Can he play as a defender? Can he play as a wing back?
He's not a defender, so Pep will try and use him as a defender.
Yeah. Neil Mascherano the shit out of him. I think those are two very good suggestions for this week's Clown of the Week. Although in these unprecedented times, I think there can only really be one winner, and that's Mr. Mbolo. Was at a party, wasn't at a party, but he's now in Clown of the Week, so he can have a bit of a party in there. Just don't tell anybody, and make sure that you space yourselves out. So that's this week's Clown of the Week. Right, we've had a bit of a change around of the schedule. I had a nice message from an avid listener who said, I absolutely love your podcast, guys. And he says, but doing the funny bit first can sometimes take away from the football knowledge. And do you know what? Fair play to him, because last week, all we heard was James giggling and being a tit, and there was a little sprinkle of football knowledge in there. So this week... I
wasn't being a tit.
Well, you were being something. We've gone for a full-on football extravaganza this week with lots of little bits of banter thrown in. So now, ladies and gentlemen...
It's all about the knowledge. Like when James says, who?
Who?
I don't know who that player is. Who?
Who's that?
Who?
Who's that? Who?
What's a Schalke?
What's a
I don't know what a Schalke is.
Anyway, we'll move on really quickly. So rather than the Hall of Fame be at the beginning of the podcast, I thought it would be a lot better if we turned it almost into like the after party of the podcast, where we can let ourselves loose a bit and have a good proper chat about all things football. So ladies and gentlemen, last but not least, here it is, the Hall of Fame. That's right. Welcome to the Hall of Fame. We've got a very nice... I don't know why I said it like an Irish bar. The Hall of Fame. We've got the Hall of Fame. There's
This ain't Snatch Pal.
What, sorry?
I said this ain't Snatch Pal.
Oh, right. Oh, do you know, it's funny actually you said Snatch, because my girlfriend came in to check how long it'd be, and I was like, 5 minutes Turkish. And then she poked her head in again when we were off the call. I was like,
I thought you were
10 minutes Turkish.
refer to something else there, mate.
You what?
Yeah, I thought he was going down that route as well.
It's that for me. It's for me, ma. Anyway, Jack's mum's put on another lovely spread. We've got Guinness in the Hall of Fame. It's all bloody good. What are you laughing at now? What have I said now? It's definitely turned into the fucking after party, this. Right, let's just move on quickly. Who have you got as your Hall of Fame suggestions this week, for fuck's sake?
Well, he can't speak, so I'll go first.
Nicely done. Thank you.
Usual.
Thank you very much.
I'm going for Adriano.
Oh,
The myth, the man, the legend.
The Pez warrior.
A Pez icon. He had a brief spell where it was like 04 to about 06 or 07 where he was just unplayable into Milan.
Oh, yeah, to Ronaldo, wasn't it?
Unplayable. And it's quite tragic what happened to his career, but it's one of those where the streets don't forget, and he will never be forgotten for what he did during those years.
Literally, the streets in the favelas in Rio will never forget. A man
Yeah,
who's gone back to his roots. Oh, mate, I went to his actual favela where he's from in Rio, and there's like a mural of him and everything. He wasn't at home though, but like there's pictures of him with like submachine guns, him like cooking like in the favelas. Man, he loves it. Like that, you know, he wanted to go home and that's it. I think he prefers an AK-47 to a hat trick on the weekend.
It's a really difficult thing about his career, because like he did just disappear, didn't he? And I know that a lot of that was due to the loss of his father. Was quite a big character in his...
Zanetti has spoken about this and said everything changed once his father passed away and Adriano turned to alcohol.
Understandable,
and
but you know.
He kind of just spiraled out. He then went to Roma and it didn't quite work, and I think he ended up just going back to play in Brazil. And even then, in about 2010, 2011, he was overweight. He just wasn't the same player. And his career just fizzled out, really. A real shame. And Zlatan has gone on record and said that he's the greatest player he's ever played with.
Fucking hell, he'd know. He played with a few.
He played with Messi.
And Neymar and...
It's the front. Yeah.
Eto'o. Do you play with Eto'o?
He didn't play with Neymar.
Did not play with Neymar? Oh, PSG? No. Oh, no, of course he didn't. It was 1 in, 1 out, wasn't it? No. I keep forgetting how long ago it was that he played at PSG. If you forget, he's had United since then, LA Galaxy. Anyway, we're not talking about Ibra as much as we've got to talk about with him. Great suggestion for the Hall of Fame. I think that one will do really well. I have to congratulate you as well, James. I'm not doing very good housekeeping. You also won the Hall of Fame last week.
Congratulate me. You call me James.
Oh, sorry about that, mate. But
it's all right. Backhanded compliment, pal.
But what a great victory for you in the Hall of Fame. It's really nice for you to join me in the winner's circle. I don't think you've won yet, have you, James?
No, but I'll tell you what, my suggestion will win, and I'm confident it's going to win by a country mile. I've digged hard. I've researched hard. I've looked so far behind, and I've really thought outside of the box.
He doesn't even research his own fucking league. I don't believe him when he said he's researched hard for the Hall of Fame.
Come on, give it to me.
Everybody says, I don't think hard enough. I don't go outside my own comfort zone. So my entry is Lewandowski.
You got to be fucking shitting me. Of course it's Bayern. Of course.
No, go on, let him speak.
A stellar performance where he scored 5 goals in 9 minutes. Yep. As a substitute against Wolfsburg, losing 1-0 to Wolfsburg, came on in the second half, 5 goals.
I can think of a better performance by Lewandowski. Champions League semi-final 2013 when he scored a hat-trick against Real Madrid.
I was just about to say that was otherworldly.
No. And here's a fact about that. So France Football, the outlet that obviously have created the Ballon d'Or, they are renowned for giving specific 10 out of 10 performances. And it's a big deal when they do, because it's very rarely that they do. So, for example, Tadic got one for his performance when Ajax battered Real Madrid at the Bernabeu.
Legend.
The last player to get a 10 out of 10 performance before Tadic was Lewandowski when they played Real Madrid at Dortmund in the Champions League semi-final. I remember watching that live and just being in awe of Dortmund. And Lewandowski was the game where he really announced to the world, I'm top 3 striker in the world. I am elite.
Do you know what, guys?
I am better than Henry.
Do you know what, guys?
He's not better than a prime Henry.
Yes, he's on the same level. But that's an argument for another day.
Do you know what, guys? Before you carry on,
anyway,
I must say to you, James, before you carry on, let me speak. How rude! Before we move on, I have to say, if we ever open up a merchandise, James, I'm going to get you one of these, which is just a mug with your face in it, because every time you open your mouth, the fact Jack just mugs you off.
No, the thing is, I'm so not inclined to being mugged off anymore. So
because he chats so much shit, it's hard to mug him off. There's so many opportunities.
No, mate.
He's so biased towards Bayern Munich. It's ridiculous.
Look, I'm a biased fuck. I accept that. But the thing is, it's the story of the hippopotamus.
It's not a very nice thing to say about Jackson.
The hippopotamus. The story of the hippopotamus is the hippopotamus was so worried about his weight that he pretended to be a giraffe, he pretended to be a bird, he pretended to be a snake. But the wise hippopotamus thought, I'm a hippopotamus and I'm going to show the world I'm a hippopotamus. And that's me. I'm a biased fuck, but I'm going to show to the world I am a biased fuck.
That's a great little story you got there. You're still chatting shit about Lewandowski and Henry.
Well, anyway, that's an argument for another day. But that's my entry to the Hall of Fame, and it's a corker.
Well, it's going to be interesting to see how you win out those two. I'm going to be honest, guys. I didn't win this week, but after what Jack said to me last week about, you're going after the demographic, or you're just chasing a win, you're not thinking with your heart. I've sat this week and had a proper think about what he's had to say. And he's right. I have been chasing the win, and because I'm competitive, that's what I do. So this week, and indefinitely, I've decided that just as a bit of fun, I'm not going to pick a football-related pick for the Hall of Fame ever again. I'm going to pick something random, and if people don't like your two thing and they vote for mine, you two are fucking mugs.
Breaking the rules. You can't do that.
No, the whole point of the Hall of Fame feature was it's football related. It could be anything as long as it's football related.
Holy fucking kidding, I've got an absolutely banging suggestion. I have chosen the Lucozade sports bottles that when you put them in your face, you squeeze them and they go, and they used to like little jizz all over your mate's face. I have chosen battles in the changing rooms, Lucozade sports bottle fights. That's what I've picked for my Hall of Fame winner.
Got lots in there and you go spray it in your face and fuck all comes out. That's a bit like your pick right there.
Whey!
Underwhelming, deflated.
Winner, chicken dinner. Everyone loves a Lucozade sports bottle fight. Everybody. There's not one person that's listening to this now, unless you live in like if you're one of us listeners in Australia or India or whatever.
For that over Lewandowski.
Do you know what? Fuck it. I don't care if I win. I just want more wins than Lewandowski. And if the ultras love me as much as they say they do, that needs to come above.
Are you crying?
If it comes above Lewandowski, I'm going to buy a Dortmund shirt, and for the next episode, I'm going to wear the Dortmund shirt whilst we're doing the pod.
Can I get that in writing, please?
He'd probably buy the wrong team. He'd probably buy a Gladbach shirt by accident.
Turns up in a yellow Watford shirt. It's a Dortmund kit, mate. It's a Dortmund kit.
How am I supposed to know what a Dortmund shirt looks like? I don't watch the Bundesliga.
If it comes above Lewandowski, I'm a man of my word. I'll buy a Dortmund shirt and wear it for the.
You don't have to buy an expensive one. You can get. Could you, out of curiosity, buy the one
Lewandowski on the back?
The year that they won the league.
You want me to buy it the year they beat us in the cup and the year they beat us in the league? 2011-12 season.
Yeah, the one where you fucked all three competitions in a matter of a week or two. You know, where Chelsea beat Bayern in the Champions League final.
Come on, Lucozade bottles.
Robin missed the penalty against Dortmund.
Come on, Lucozade bottles.
A very dark place there.
Yeah, we want that shirt with Lewandowski on the back.
Okay, it's a deal. I don't know if I can find that shirt, though. I'll have to see if I can find that one.
Actually, no. It's not Lewandowski. Subotic on the back.
Oh, fuck off.
Yep. The man that screamed in Robin. Yep, the man that screamed in Robin's face when Robin missed the penalty in the league against Dortmund.
Fucking hates Subotic. Jesus.
Yep, I want his name on the back, sunshine.
Fine, okay, deal. If I can find it,
you know what to do.
I don't think that'll be an easy shirt to find somehow.
He'll wear it once and then you'll find it in the charity shops at Twickenham soon.
We know a guy with football shirts. We know a guy.
Honestly,
Give Old Zonners a message. We'll find it.
Yep.
Don't you worry about that. Well, guys, I think that is a perfect place to end this week's episode of FC Podcast. Is there anything else you want to in it before Jack goes? Oh, by the way, just one more thing.
I'm looking on eBay now, see if I can find the shirt.
Oh, we'll leave that till.
Actually, no, it is. I can get one from Italy. Oh no, that was actually the season where we beat them in the Champions League final. Let's find one.
Yeah, of course, he wants to get that one.
I've got one. I found it. I can get it. Fuck off! I'm not paying that much. £103. I'm not paying that.
Well, it depends if you lose the bet, pal.
I'm not paying that amount of money.
I'm going to message so many people and be like, guys, I've got this poll going on Twitter. Can you help me out?
Yep.
Absolutely.
If it's under 20 quid or 20 to 25. That's a shame actually, because there is one. It's always the season where we beat them in the Champions League final. It's never the one before.
Oh yeah, of course, yeah.
We'll find it, mate. Don't you worry, we'll find it. Right. I think that's a perfect place to end the podcast, guys. Thank you ever so much for... Oh, for fuck's sake. What?
I want to have my food.
Good, Chief.
Oh,
I'm ready for the Chelsea game.
Oh, yeah, we've got that coming up. What's the lineup tonight? Is it a good lineup?
It's an attacking one. It's a midfield three of Mount, Havertz and Kovo. Ooh. And then the front three is Pulisic, Tammy and Hudson-Odoi.
Throw the kitchen sink at it then.
I'm nervous, boys. I'm nervous.
Well, hopefully it's going to be a cracking game. So we'll probably all go away and watch this. I'll do a bit of editing a bit later on, and we'll crack on and enjoy it. Right. I genuinely think that's all we've got time for this week at FCP. Thank you for listening right to the end. And if you enjoyed this podcast, if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, please give it a 5-star review. Anywhere else, a cracking review. If you like what you heard, give us a follow and a subscribe. And of course, listen to next week's episode to find James in a Dortmund kit. We'll put loads of pictures up on Instagram and Twitter at FC Podcast 2. Is it on Twitter, James?
Sorry?
I'll take that as a yes. And it's and FC Podcast Boys on Instagram. Please keep interacting with our polls and vote in our Hall of Fame this week. Please, Lord, vote for the Lucozade bottle fights. And if you haven't already, and Adriana, if you haven't already, have a great week. Enjoy the game tonight. If you're going to watch it, enjoy the games this week. And it's the FA Cup, not many Premier League games going on. And as always, we'll hear you next time. Take care, guys. Bye-bye.